She only leaned on the car for balance. A pregnant bread seller, in pain, begging for mercy. But in an instant, a rich woman's hand struck her face, so hard her water broke right there on the street. What the rich woman didn't know was that someone powerful had seen everything, and her life would never be the same again. Subscribing takes just 2 seconds, but it means the world to storytellers like us here at African Tales by Amani. If this story touches your heart, that little subscribe button is how you can give back. Don't wait. Click it now so you never miss the lessons hidden in these powerful African stories. The sun in Lagos was not just shining that day, it was attacking. The sky glared down white-hot, as if every corner of the city had been thrown into an oven. Car bonnets sizzled, buses wheezed under the heat, and drivers leaned on their horns like angry goats bleating in frustration. Okada riders zigzagged through the gridlock, their passengers clutching bags of fabric and baskets of food, muttering prayers that they would reach their destinations alive. On the sidewalks, hawkers shouted at the top of their lungs, "Pure water! Gala! Recharge card!" Their voices battling against the roar of traffic. And then there was the smell. Roasted corn and groundnuts from one corner, fried akara sizzling in blackened pans, exhaust fumes choking the air, perfume drifting from the bodies of hurried shoppers. It was all Lagos in one breath. Noisy, hot, alive, overwhelming. Into this chaos walked Ngozi. Her tray of bread balanced neatly on her head, the loaves wrapped in transparent nylon that glistened under the sunlight. Freshly baked, still carrying the faint scent of yeast, each loaf was a small promise of survival. She walked carefully, one hand steadying the tray, the other pressed often against her swollen belly. Her pregnancy was heavy, her ankles puffed inside worn slippers, sweat rolling down her temples in small rivers. Yet her pace did not falter. For Ngozi, stopping meant hunger. Resting meant nothing on the table at night. The rent collector had knocked last week with his threats, and she had promised him 2 more weeks. Baby clothes were still too few, and her savings hardly stretched far. Delivery could happen any day now, but she could not afford to rest. She remembered her midwife's words that morning. "Ngozi, listen to me. You need to rest. You are due any day. Your body needs strength." Ngozi had only smiled, her lips trembling. How could she explain that rest did not pay bills? Rest did not buy food. Ironically, it was bread that allowed her to buy bread. So she whispered quietly to the life in her belly as she walked. "Please, my child, just wait. Don't come yet. Let Mummy finish her sales today. Please be patient with me." A faint kick came in reply, and she sighed, adjusting her wrapper before pressing on. If you've ever known the struggle of working when your body begged you to stop, give this video a thumbs up. It tells us these stories matter and helps us keep them alive for those who can relate. Ngozi turned into the street traders called the bridal lane. It was alive with color and sparkle. White gowns shimmered in shop windows, lace fabrics cascaded like waterfalls, sequined head ties glimmered like treasure, and shoes shone as though waiting for a runway. Brides-to-be strutted with their mothers and aunts, their voices raised in arguments over price and quality, each bargaining like a warrior going into battle. For Ngozi, this was the best street to sell. People shopping for weddings were always tired, always hungry, and bread was an easy buy. But today the heat was different. It pressed down like an angry weight, squeezing the energy out of her. Her throat felt dry, her body heavy. She promised herself she would buy 1 sachet of water, but only after selling half her tray. Then it happened. A sharp pain shot across her back and gripped her waist like an iron band. She froze, bent slightly, one hand clutching her belly, her breath cutting into short bursts. "Not now," she whispered, almost pleading. "Please, baby, not now." The pain eased after a while, and she forced herself to straighten. She convinced herself it was nothing, just another small cramp like before. She took a few steps more. Then it came again, stronger, sharper, tearing through her like fire. Her knees wobbled. Her vision blurred. She reached out blindly, her palm landing on the door of a black SUV parked by the walkway. She wasn't thinking about the car. She was only trying not to fall. And then the voice sliced through the noise of the street. Cold, sharp, laced with contempt. "You filthy thing! How dare you touch my baby? Ngozi turned slowly. Standing a few steps away was Yvonne. Tall, elegant, dripping in gold jewelry, her silk dress glinting in the sun, makeup flawless despite the heat. She looked like money had molded her body itself. But her eyes were sharp, filled with pure disdain. Ngozi trembled. "Madam, please." I felt sudden pain. I only leaned a little. I didn't even see. "Shut up!" Yvonne snapped, stepping closer, her heels clicking angrily on the pavement. "You didn't see my car? Is it invisible to you? Do you know how much this car costs? And you, with your dirty sweat and those loaves of bread, you dare to stain it?" Ngozi's voice shook. "Please, forgive me. I didn't mean any harm." "Use your bread to clean it," Yvonne spat. Ngozi blinked in confusion. "Madam!" "Yes." Yvonne barked, her voice rising. "Use that bread on your head to wipe where you touched. Clean my car with your filth. Let me see if you dare sell it again." The crowd gasped. Traders froze mid-bargain. Some shoppers whispered to each other, wide-eyed. Ngozi's lips quivered. "Madam, please. This bread is all I have. If I lose it, my baby and I will starve. Please, show mercy." Yvonne's eyes narrowed. Her hand shot out. Slap. The sound cracked like thunder across the street. Ngozi stumbled. Her tray crashed to the ground, bread rolling across the dust. Some trampled immediately under careless feet. She fell sideways, a sharp cry escaping her. And then she felt it, a sudden gush of warm liquid between her legs. Her eyes widened in horror. My water has broken." But Yvonne only sneered. "Next time, know your place. Trash like you should never touch treasure like me." She adjusted her dress, flipped her hair back, and with a final hiss, marched into her car. Seconds later, the SUV roared away, leaving dust and silence in her wake. Ngozi lay on the hot pavement, clutching her belly, tears spilling down her face. Her body trembled with pain. The bread she had carried with pride lay scattered, dirty, crushed. Around her, the crowd murmured. Some pitied her, others muttered about arrogance, but no one dared to stand against Yvonne. Not everyone walked away. Across the road, frozen where he stood, was Tund. His crisp blue shirt clung to his body in the heat, his sleeves rolled up, his mind numb. He had come for a meeting with one of the shop owners, but business was forgotten. His fiancé, the woman he planned to marry in weeks, was the one who had just slapped a pregnant bread seller into labor. His chest tightened. His jaw clenched. The image of her hand, sharp and merciless, burned into his mind. For the first time, he saw her differently, not as the gentle woman he thought he loved, but as someone cold, cruel, dangerous. Without hesitation, he rushed across the street. "Kofi!" he called, his voice sharp. His driver, who had been waiting by their own car, hurried forward. Together they lifted Ngozi gently, her cries weak, her body trembling. "Madam, please, you need a hospital," Tun said urgently. Ngozi's lips trembled. "Sir, my baby." "You'll be fine," he said firmly, though fear clawed at his chest. "Hold on. We'll get you help." They eased her into his car. The cold blast of air conditioning shocked her sweaty face, but another contraction tore through her body, forcing a groan from her lips. "Drive!" Tund barked, and Kofi swerved into the madness of Lagos traffic. The hospital loomed like salvation. The smell of antiseptic slapped them as nurses rushed out with a wheelchair. Ngozi cried out as they lifted her from the car. Tund followed closely, his pulse racing. Dr. Adeyemi appeared, his green scrubs crisp, his face calm but serious. "What happened?" "She was slapped," Tund said breathlessly. "She fell. Her water broke. Please, doctor, help her." The doctor's hands moved quickly, his eyes scanning. His expression grew grim. "She's weak, malnourished, and exhausted. The baby's heartbeat is faint. We need to do emergency surgery right now." Ngozi's eyes widened, her lips trembling. "Surgery? Doctor, please." "It's the only way," Dr. Adeyemi said firmly. "Otherwise, We may lose both mother and child. Do you have family here to sign consent? Ngozi shook her head weakly. No. I have no one. The doctor turned to Tund. Then it must be you. Do we proceed? Tund didn't hesitate. Yes. Save them both. Do everything you must. The consent form was thrust into Tund's hands, the paper trembling because his own fingers were shaking. His signature scratched across the page, uneven, hurried. The pen nearly slipped from his grip. As soon as he handed it back, the nurses wheeled Ngozi away, the rubber wheels squeaking as they disappeared through the double doors. The echoes of her cries hung in the corridor long after she was gone. Tund dropped into one of the hard plastic chairs in the waiting area. He buried his face in his palms. The fluorescent light above flickered faintly, humming as if mocking the silence. All around him, families waited. Mothers clutching babies with fevers, fathers pacing anxiously, children dozing against tired shoulders. He sat among them, but his mind was elsewhere. He thought of Yvonne. The slap. The way her face had twisted in disgust, her voice sharp like broken glass. Use your bread to clean my car. The memory burned like acid in his chest. And then he thought of Ngozi. Her belly round, her breath ragged, her desperation clear. A woman fighting to stand upright, begging for mercy. His throat tightened. God, he muttered under his breath. Don't let her die. Don't let the child die. Please. He hadn't prayed like this in years. But here he was, bargaining like a child, whispering every plea he could think of. The minutes dragged. Every second felt like a stone pressing down on his chest. He paced, sat, stood again. His phone buzzed on the bench beside him. Calls from Yvonne, texts from friends reminding him about the dinner reservation he had missed. He ignored them all. None of it mattered. Finally, the doors swung open. Dr. Adeyemi emerged, his face glistening with sweat, his gloves pulled off. Doctor! Tund rushed forward. How is she? How's the baby? The doctor's lips curved into a small smile. Congratulations. A baby boy. Weak, but alive. The mother too. She lost a lot of strength, but she's stable. With good care, she'll recover. Tund let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. His shoulders sagged in relief. Thank God, he whispered, his voice cracking. They wheeled Ngozi into the recovery ward. She lay pale on the bed, her hair sticking to her damp forehead, her face drained. Beside her, wrapped in a thin blanket, was her baby boy, tiny fists clenching and unclenching, his cries soft but steady. Tund stood at the doorway, frozen. He wasn't family. He wasn't even a friend. And yet, something pulled him into that room. He stepped closer, his eyes fixed on the child. His heart did something it hadn't done in years. It softened. Ngozi stirred, her lips trembling as she opened her eyes. She looked at him, weak, uncertain. Her voice came out like a whisper. My baby. The nurse placed the child in her arms. Her whole body seemed to light up. Tears spilled down her cheeks as she pressed her lips against the baby's forehead. She whispered, barely audible, Thank you, God. Thank you. Tund swallowed hard. For a moment, he looked away, pretending to adjust his shirt. Something about the sight made his chest ache in a way he couldn't explain. He cleared his throat and turned to the nurse. Whatever she needs, give it to her. Medicine, food, everything. Put it all on my bill. The nurse's eyes widened slightly. Sir, the surgery, the postnatal care, the baby's needs, it's not small money. I said everything, Tund interrupted, his tone sharp. Then softer. She shouldn't worry about a single thing. Do you understand? Yes, sir. The nurse nodded quickly and hurried off. Ngozi turned her head slightly, her voice faint. Sir, I don't know who you are, but, thank you. May God bless you. Tund shook his head. Don't thank me. Just focus on getting well. He sat down in the corner of the ward, watching as Ngozi clutched the baby against her chest, rocking him gently even though her arms trembled with weakness. She hummed a broken tune, her voice cracking, but the child stilled in her arms, comforted by her warmth. Hours slipped by. The ward quieted as patients drifted to sleep, but Tund remained. He didn't care about the calls piling up on his phone, or the messages flashing across his screen. Here, in this small ward, he felt more present than he had in years. When he finally left the hospital, it was late at night. The streets outside had quieted, the chaos of Lagos dimmed to a sleepy hum. His driver Kofi opened the car door, concern etched on his face. "Oga, you sure say you day okay?" "I'm fine," Tund muttered, though the weight in his chest said otherwise. He slid into the back seat, his mind still replaying every detail. The mansion loomed large and glowing when they returned. Its tall gates swung open, the security lights bright against the night. Yvonne stood waiting at the door, her smile wide, her body draped in silk, her perfume heavy in the air. "Baby, finally you're back," she said sweetly, wrapping her arms around his neck. She pressed a kiss to his cheek. The same lips that had spat venom at a bread seller hours earlier now whispered affection. Tund stiffened. His body went cold. He pulled away slightly. "I'm tired. I need to rest." Her smile faltered. "Tired? But you promised we'd have dinner with Chuka and Ife tonight. They've been waiting at the restaurant. I had to cancel on them. Where were you?" "Something came up," he muttered, brushing past her. Her brows furrowed. "Something came up. What's more important than us?" She followed him inside, her heels clicking on the marble floor. "You've been distant lately. Did I do something wrong?" Tund didn't answer. He tossed his keys on the console, loosening his tie. His mind was still in the hospital. Yvonne crossed her arms, her voice rising. "Tund, I'm talking to you. What's going on?" He turned to look at her, and for the first time really look. He didn't see her beauty. He didn't see the elegance. He saw the woman in the street, her hand raised, her voice cold, her cruelty unmasked. His jaw tightened. "I said I'm tired." He left her standing in the living room, her lips pressed in a tight line. That night, as they lay in bed, Yvonne reached for him. "Good night, baby," she whispered. Tund lay stiff, his eyes open in the darkness. The silence between them was thick. His mind replayed the slap, the bread scattering across the pavement, Ngozi's cry of pain, the rush of nurses in the hospital, the baby's soft wail, the look of gratitude in Ngozi's tired eyes. Beside him, Yvonne slept soundly, her breathing deep and even. But Tund's chest ached. His thoughts twisted. In the quiet of that night, he admitted to himself what he had been trying to avoid. Marrying Yvonne might not just be a mistake. It might be the greatest disaster of his life. He turned onto his side, staring at the ceiling, whispering so softly no one could hear. "What am I doing with her?" And still, in the back of his mind, he saw Ngozi, her frail arms clutching her newborn son, her lips moving in prayer. The image burned into him, a contrast so sharp it nearly split his heart. If you want to hear what happens when the truth finally comes out, don't miss part 2 of this story. Subscribe now, because subscribing costs you nothing, but it costs us everything when you don't. Together, we can keep these stories alive.